Koji update video. It has been a pretty busy week here. Lots of cool stuff to talk about in this one. First off, this YouTuber Beast Boy Shub made a remix of one of Svarog's games, and it got 295,000 players at the time of me recording this, which is crazy cool. Yeah, it's an awesome game. Definitely check it out. Super cool, dude. Starting to see some scale on this thing. Servers holding up nicely, which is always good. So the first thing we got this week is a mobile editor. So you can now remix and publish games from mobile devices without needing a desktop computer or anything like that. It's the exact same editor as on the desktop. It's just responsive, so it just rearranges some things based on screen size. Right now it's VCC only, just because I don't think it really makes too much sense at this stage to be trying to edit actual code on such a small form factor. So you can see at the bottom, I've got all of the VCCs that are available in this template. I can edit them, and I can change things around. You'll see you get the same live reloading as you do in the desktop editor. And something that's also really cool with this is I can take images and upload them and use the background remover from inside of this thing. So you can like take pictures of your friends when you're out at a party or something and make games with them, drop them in these games, and now all of a sudden you've just made a game with someone on your mobile phone that you can then publish using the standard Koji deploy pipeline, and now you've just made an app on your phone. So that's pretty cool. Still some rough edges here, specifically some of these controls that deal with keyboard get kind of funky right now. Going to be working this week to clear some of those up, make that better. But yeah, really cool. Already have started to see people play with this. This is super powerful. The other thing we got is sort of a more technical, lower level thing, but equally valuable, and I think going to make this thing crazy powerful in the long term. It's a product that we're calling Koji Dispatch. It's basically a way to do real-time sockets from inside of your Koji app. The reason you can't do sockets, or you couldn't do sockets before this, is that Koji backends get deployed using a service called Google Cloud Run, which basically packages a container of your backend server and spins it up when it starts getting requests and spins it down when it stops getting requests. If you're familiar with Lambda or any of these kinds of serverless or function as a service type things out there, Cloud Run is basically that, but for entire containers, which is really cool for Koji for these REST backends, because it means we can really inexpensively allow people to deploy, now I think like tens of thousands of REST backends, and it doesn't cost us too much money because these things scale down to zero when they're not in use, and they only get turned on once they have traffic. This is problematic for WebSockets where you need kind of a centralized and persistent server, or you need replication across multiple servers if you're scaling out that way to be able to make sure that all the events get sent in the right way. So Google Cloud Run did not support WebSockets, ergo Koji did not support WebSockets until now. Koji Dispatch is a JavaScript library that you can include in your project's front end, similar to the Koji VCC library. Basically, you define a new dispatch with your project ID and connect to it, and it opens a socket connection to one of Koji's servers that manages like a big giant event buffer for every client from your project that connects. It also manages sharding of those connections. So think of like worlds in video games. Like one world might have a capacity of 100 players per world, and if that world's full, well, you got to join another one. Koji Dispatch supports that kind of behavior out of the box. That also works if you want to do like a chat client with channels. Worlds sort of translates to channels pretty easily. Or if you wanted to make like a 1v1 game with matchmaking, you basically just tell Koji to, auto shard after two people have connected, two users have connected, and then it'll create a new one. Yeah, so once you connect to one of these project shards via Koji Dispatch, you can basically just send it events with a name and a JSON payload. it needs to be small. It'll kick it back if it's too big of a payload. There's also some basic rate limiting in there right now, so you can't send like thousands of messages a second. We'll continue to tune those values those limits as we keep playing with this thing. So consider this kind of an early preview or beta of this thing, but I think it opens a lot of possibilities in terms of what people are going to be able to create with this. The first example is this live chat that you can see. Super simple to do, basically. Just, when you join the dispatch server and you send a message, and everyone who is connected is listening for the message received event, and then just renders the message. If you kind of think about it, every multiplayer game is just a very sophisticated chat server with more abstract data types. Like if you wanted to take the box arena game and make that multiplayer, you're basically just having each client send chat messages with their X, Y, and Z coordinates instead of text. So this is super extensible. I think it's going to open up a lot of really interesting possibilities here, make things a lot more engaging and more interesting. And it's, highly available, super scalable. You shouldn't have to worry about any sort of scalability or anything with this, as long as you kind of are reasonable about the amount and frequency of data you're sending across these things. More examples to come with this week. Hopefully we'll get some of these 3D games wired up for multiplayer, so we'll have a kind of good canonical scaffold for how you can use this to extend your games and make them multiplayer. Yeah, so like I said, big week. We had a game that got almost 500,000 plays in like 2 days. This happened on like Saturday, and it's Sunday right now. Mobile editor, which is awesome. I think that just adds a whole new dimension to this thing. And this Koji Dispatch for building real-time and multiplayer games and apps. Yeah, so as always, any questions, feel free to reach out on Discord. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one of these.